Okay, Wojtek, you can start.
Okay. Hey guys, session 31, Level Up with Gavriil Klimov. We are here with Jonas, Darek, me, and our awesome guest, Gavriil. Hey man.
Hey guys.
Hey
Thanks
guys.
for inviting me.
So Gavriil was super generous to join us today to devote 2 hours to show us his techniques. He is a concept artist and a 3D artist. He worked on such projects like Starcraft 2 and a lot of other movie projects like. Am I right? Oh shit! Sorry, I'm so confused. Sorry, that was the worst introduction ever. So actually, this is a Gavriil site, GavriilKlimov.com. You just have to go to /I, and Gavriil's main subject is hard surface, 3D, very complex robotics renderings, and he will show us how he's working with hard surface and 3D today, working in Modo. So we'll actually talk a little bit about Gavriil's path, how he has started working first in 2D, then he tried different techniques, then he learned 3D, and his path is really inspiring, and I think it will be great to know a little bit more about his workflow as well. Which he will be showing us right after that. Don't quit, because I know 3D may be a little bit complex, but Gavriil will try to show you how to get into Modo really easily. So there will be a little bit introduction to Modo today as well. Right, enough talking. Hi Gavriil, and welcome to Level Up.
Thanks, guys. So as Wojtek said, I guess I'm gonna be showing some old work. Some is very embarrassing, but I thought it would be the best place to show it. And then I guess show you how I reached. How I ended up doing what I do. And then I'll show Modo with Mesh Fusion, because it was, I think, highly requested by a lot of people. What was that?
That's an applause for your efforts today.
Oh, thanks, Jonas. Okay, so let me see. To
people that are watching, if you have any questions, type them into the chat, and we will bring them up live, and we'll try to answer them.
Maybe.
Dark, can you? Maybe, yeah, just maybe. Dark, maybe try switching to Gavriil's screen, and Gavriil, you can try sharing.
Sure.
Does it work? Does my screen work?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you can see it perfectly.
So, all right, let me grab this. So first of all, I got into concept art in 2007. That was the year after I finished high school, and I'm pretty sure that most of you guys know Ryan Church, right? He's like a very famous concept artist, and I found his art online. That's when I decided that I had to do it too. I was like, this is awesome. There's some people that are getting paid to paint for movies. That sounds too good to be true. So So basically, really the first step that I did was, at the time, I was just like buying the Nomon Workshop DVDs, the very old school ones that had like him and James Klein, all those like more kind of old school guys, and I was really like, let me pull this. So there's like work from 2007. What I was doing at the time was really looking at his DVDs and trying to paint like him. So this is like literally like my first work ever. These are like literally my first 4 paintings that I've ever done. So,
awesome.
Nice.
So these were like based off of his, off of his DVDs. So this is like painted reference in Painter actually, based off of these DVDs, and um, I thought I was doing pretty well. I was like, that's it. And this was based off of I think Dylan Cole DVD. So basically, I was just watching their tutorials and I was trying to paint what they were painting. And at the time, I was really into just painting. I had obviously no clue about 3D or anything like that. So, and I guess then, as I was doing it, what I realized is that most of these people, they all went to the same school, like 90% of these people I was watching, and so that school is Art Center in LA, in Pasadena, in California. And so what I did is that I applied there in the industrial design, which basically had a minor in entertainment design, and was funded by Scott Robertson. And this is, I have in a picture, yes. So this was like my class at the time. So this is Scott right here. And some of these people are, a lot of these guys are also concept artists somewhere.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Are you smiling?
No, I'm not. There's a lot of people on this picture. They're my friends. They're all concept artists too now. So what I was doing, just to again kind of give you an idea. So our center is industrial design. So the kind of first. The foundation of industrial design is like kind of building stuff, like using a lot of materials. This is like really like my first months at Art Center. We were doing a lot of model making, crafting, like huge shapes. Like it has to do with a lot of cross sections. So very like speed forms, like typical. We even built this. I built this. I would never be able to do this anymore, but I built it at the time.
Awesome. Nice case, man.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So as you can see, just a lot of industrial bullshittery, like just building, sawing, and all that, just sort of shape. So this is like really my training originally was very,
Manual, right?
Industrial oriented. And then I started to do, I guess, more of the entertaining stuff. Like at around the same time. This is again super old work. This was still when I was into painting. These were inspired by a guy that is now at Blizzard named Matthias, and I have no idea how to read his last name because it's Finnish, like Verhasselt, I think.
Verhasselt.
Yeah, and so this is I guess this could be my first Mac ever. So this is like super old. This is like from 2008, and at the time again I was more into like painting, I guess. But then the more I got into painting, then the more I kind of liked. Realism, like I really liked, like really applying photo textures and really like trying to bring it as surreal as possible. And these are obviously far from good. This is super old. But basically, the more I was doing that, the more I basically got into matte painting actually, because I remember when I was doing these kind of environments, people were telling me like. And at the time, they were telling me, "Oh man, this is pretty cool. You should push it more. You should try to make it reach for a real level." And this is how I found out about matte painting. And then what I did, I got completely obsessed with that. And what I was doing is, I was trying to photo manipulate work. And again, these are very old, pretty bad. But this is kind of like just the time what I was trying to do, or like get a plate at the top and make the typical snowy version at the bottom. And this was kind of for me just practice about photo manipulation too. And that's really all I did at that time. Around the same year here, I also got my first job ever, which was at Pixar, and I was an intern there. And I got to work on Toy Story 3, so it was pretty cool. And the kind of work that I was doing there was still in this particular kind of style, just very Photoshop painterly. I didn't really use any 3D or anything like that. And just these eventually, just a lot of this matte painting led me into a bit more 3D, a bit more everything. And this is when I started to do, again, more matte stuff. And this is, for instance, the stuff I did at Blizzard. In the Blizzard, I was in the matte painting department. Let me bring this over here. So this is kind of like you know, there's a test for a matte painting at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's like I see the video as like very way behind my words. Maybe it's actually correct, but it feels weird because like I see like just is like the stream on pair with my like audio. Or?
There is if you are watching a YouTube version of it right now, yeah, there is a lag between it. So
Half a minute.
you should be looking into the Google Hangout window. Then it's
yeah, but
live.
that's the one I'm looking. But anyway, yeah. So that's that. I was doing that, and then what happened actually is that, I mean, ironically enough, I fell in love with map painting and with environments, and I was really loving environment stuff. But then I actually got to the point where it became photoreal, and it was also about using pictures and all that stuff, and it was sticking a bit away from like the design aspect, which was why I guess I got into like concept art in the first place. I like the design. So then this is kind of like I got back into doing more concept environment. This is again from like I think end of 2010 or so. So it's again pretty old. This is art that I started to combine more 3D with painting. So I would do like a base in 3D and then paint over. And this is like a lot of work that was done for school. Some as personal work. And
Awesome.
again, at the time, just the model I was keeping them very basic, and then doing paint over on the top. And again, like environment art, a lot of Photoshop. But here I kind of like to start it again more because I was again kind of dealing with design more. And so this is when I really started to have fun again, where like I started to do this kind of like helicopter work and whatnot, this kind of work right here, and this is when I started to really, again, this is like super old, but the same. Just this is where I started to kind of like grasp that this is what I like to do. Like I really like to design stuff, and I thought that 3D, and this is like my first. These are like really like old attempts at doing again 3D work with. There's a lot of Photoshop on the top of this, but again, it's kind of the origin, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but all the basics are in 3D.
Yeah, so in this one at this point, as you can see, like for instance, like I mean, it wasn't like super, refined or anything, but this was how I started doing it. And originally I was using it more quickly in the sense that I was just trying to smash the shape as soon as possible because I wanted to get into Photoshop as soon as possible. Like I didn't like the idea of staying too long inside of 3D. And these here are kind of like in between, so this is where I start to spend a bit more time in 3D and a little less in Photoshop.
Yes.
And so this is when I start to realize that that's what I like to do. And that's kind of again like this like weird like photo bash 3D or whatever, just in between. And this is again, yeah, this is kind of like this is how I guess I came to do what I do now. Again, this is I guess there's more environment kind of stuff again, but most of this stuff was actually also started with some 3D base again. As you can see, again, the 3D is pretty rough, but that was what I was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, basically this is how I started, I guess, to utilize more and more 3D in my workflow. And I guess the more I was using it, and the more I liked it, the more it was also pretty successful for me in terms of feedback from the client, in the sense that like 3D, I mean 3D has like everything has pros and cons, right? So like Photoshop is definitely faster. If you need to do like 50 silhouettes of a robot, it's definitely faster to do it in in Photoshop. But 3D has kind of a like the pro of 3D is that you can't really cheat too much in terms of this kind of obvious things, right, about joints, perspective and so forth. And so these are kind of issues that it's kind of nice in the pipeline to resolve early on.
Mm-hmm.
There's like many cases in which there's people that may do concept of a robot or whatever, and then once he reaches the modeling stage, then it's kind of like, what the hell is that? Like, how does it connect, right? Like, these are typical issues that I think that the more and more concept art goes forward, the less and less they will be encountered, because more people, I think, use 3D as a base, and even people that are not like super into 3D, I think there's more kind of like, there's so much content out there, there's so many tutorials out there that, and there's so many programs too, that I think it's fairly easily, a lot of people can now go and do a 3D base before they can paint over, like, or they can do something, right? Like, or even if that's a Mac or whatever, like they can just do a shape before they can actually paint. That will help them, overcome some issues that with, I guess, analog or digital 2D media, you always end up with just perspective or joints, like how does it work, like how does it open, how does it do that. And of course 3D can be slower, but again, it's kind of a trade-off. Like, I don't offer usually as many variation as someone who may sketch, right? But at the same time, you kind of solve a lot of the issues right away, and you kind of like, it's more of a, I guess, of an iteration process rather than doing like 50 variations and then keep doing too many. I have a lower number, and then I kind of like, usually with the way I work as a freelancer, is that I show like maybe 3 or 4 at first, and then I guess I keep refining only the ones that they like, and we try to narrow it down to the one that they like right away, because again, it's kind of time consuming. Sorry. So 3D is my tool set, and even if I have a lot of the work, I mean, the one you can see on my website is very, I mean, it's very refined, and it reaches all the way to the final rendering stage, and a lot of the images there are rendered with V-Ray. A lot of the production work, like, not all the work that I do actually reaches that level. In fact, I'd say that only 20% of the work that I do reaches that level that is displayed on my website. Most of the work that I do, like, you get out of 3D actually quicker, like you render stuff faster, and you go into Photoshop quicker again to do like photo bash, paint over, like you add all the cut lines, all the details and all that in Photoshop, because again, there's really no time sometimes to reach it all the way in 3D. Sometimes you have it. It's kind of like client-based, project-based, budget-based. It depends on many things, but in general, being a 3D concept artist doesn't mean that you do everything all the way until the last screw in 3D. It just means that you utilize 3D as your main tool set to start with, but it doesn't mean that you're going to finish entirely in 3D. So again, this is kind of like, I guess, because if people take a look at my website, I think that they may think that what I do is only like, it always reaches the final level. It's just that I didn't have the chance yet to actually post a lot of the work. Really, I'd say that 90% of the work that I've done in the last 2 years, like, I cannot post it online because it's all stuff that will come out much later on. I think the earliest thing that comes out is at the end of 2014 is Destiny, for which I can't wait to post like the environments I've done for it. But that's like really the earliest thing. I think the Destiny thing. But after than that, I think all the games and movies that I worked on, like the earliest they come out is like 2015. So a lot of my personal work reaches like 3D all the way to the end. But this is not really necessarily like my work for all of my work.
It's also a lot of production work isn't really that exciting. People think that being a concept artist is only about making pretty pictures, but it's not really. A lot of stuff is just doing orthographic views or sketches, or like just little bits and pieces that are actually not that cool to show off.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's always stuff that, like, for instance, there's always robots to do, but there's also stuff like, like even smaller stuff, right? Could be like a security card or like like something from a belt of a character, right? So there's a lot of stuff. Although I have to say, if you kind of like, I mean, I don't know, I guess if you're like a nerd of hard surface, like I am, like no matter what, even if it's something super tiny, I'm always excited to do it. Even if it's like a, like a door, I don't know, like some door panel, just like something that like you can just tap in with your like buttons or whatever on the wall. Just like you can always, I think you can always find ways to make it fun, I guess. If you really like the subject matter, but it's true that of course it's not always fun. And, of course, this is also based on the client, right? Sometimes some clients are not very fun to work for.
Yeah.
So Gavriil, why Modo?
So I guess for those who are familiar with 3D, basically, the point is that, I mean, there's obviously, right, programs that are like, there's Maya, right, Max, XSI. These were, I guess, these are the older school programs, and they're pretty cool. I mean, the only one I really don't like is just myself, Maya. This is the one that, it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like I don't know, it's like the Antichrist. It's like when I see Maya, I want to run in the opposite direction. But aside from that, I like Max and I like XSI. I really like XSI actually. And in traditional 3D, I mean, again, for those who are familiar with, you can do two types of modeling. Like you can do subdivision modeling and you can do polygon modeling. And in the subdivision modeling, if you want to create certain types of hard surface detail, it's just time consuming. It's just very, very slow. Like if you want to do like a gun, or if you want to do like a grenade, or whatever you want to do in hard surface, it just takes a lot of time. Like the timeline for a 3D modeler, if you have a concept of a robot and you want someone to do it, the timeline for a modeler is like 15 working days at least. You know what I mean? So it takes a long time. So which is why sometimes in concept art, like the way you model is not always clean. It relies on polygon modeling. It relies on kit bashing. It relies on many ways in which you can achieve the goal as soon as possible, because again, you're a concept artist. Even if you use 3D, it's kind of like, again, it's kind of like the tool set that you choose, but it doesn't mean that you can be slower just because you chose 3D necessarily, right? So the cool thing about Modo, I guess, is that the reason why I started to use it lately is because there's this thing, right? There's a plugin that came out, I don't know how long ago now, it's probably been some months, and it's called Mesh Fusion. And so what Mesh Fusion is that it's a plugin that allows to do boolean operations, which are basically, again, I hope that most of the people are kind of familiar with this, but basically it allows to cut, basically to subtract, right? So to cut something, to add as a union, or to intersect shapes live. And this is something that, again, actually cutting is something that you can do again in regular 3D, but once you do a boolean in regular 3D, like the geometry is messed up. Like if you do it, that's it. You can't really like modify it anymore. You can't change it. You can't twist it. It's kind of like, think of it as a permanent edit to something. It's almost like, let's say you color correct a picture in Photoshop without the adjustment layer, right? Like if you color correct it in whatever you do, and then that's it. Like you may like it, but then if you need to tweak it back, if you've done drastic changes, it's very, very hard to go back. Imagine if you do, I don't know, like a painting, and then you turn into a night painting. You paint everything for nighttime. And then you go like, oh, actually now it needs to be sunset, but you didn't have any, curves into the adjustment layers, right, that you can edit. Then it's like there's no way you can turn now a night painting into like a morning without actually remaking it. So this is the same logic, I guess, in 3D. So like booleans, normally speaking, they're not very good for modeling. This is why they're almost never used in subdivision modeling. Again, like I used to use them in polygon modeling because they're fast, and again, they kind of help you reach the goal. But again, the problem is that if you have feedback, like, hey, can we move this here? Oh, can we actually remove this? Can we cut that? Can we, whatever? Then it becomes a bit of a nightmare because you have to recreate that shape, or I guess you have to save a duplicate of that shape, and then you have to have that shape without the booleans applied on the top of it. And Mesh Fusion basically is a solution to all of these issues. It allows to do live booleans. They're interactive. You can change them, modify them. You can do anything basically with them, and I mean, most importantly, again, it's kind of the ease that comes with it. You don't need to really think in the older way where it's like to do certain shapes. You need to, move the vertices here, like do this, move this edge, weld, bridge, whatever, some bullshit to just add some, cylinder somewhere where it's sticking out. You can just smash it on the top and tell Modo to fuse it together, if it makes sense. So this is why it's extremely cool. This is why I think that this is kind of like the future of hard surface modeling. And Modo, I think, is the first one that did it. But then other people are trying to do, like, I mean, Autodesk is awful. Like they always update. Like every year they update with like the same name, right? It's like Autodesk Max 2015. It's like there's like one new edition, and they charge you like 1K for the upgrade. So like Autodesk is not really a company that really innovates a lot. Like while the Foundry is private, kind of like Pixelogic, which is ZBrush, which is why these companies usually innovate faster because they're private. They do not release one program a year just to make money. And I mean, the Mesh Fusion, I guess, quote unquote, versions of other programs are coming from private guys just doing it. There's like I think one for Maya that's called Hard Mesh. I think it's hard-mesh.com, and they're doing kind of I think of a similar version for Maya, and it's still being done as we speak. And there's also another one for Macs called Multi-Mesher that was done by I think by a French. I think I want to say French. Yes, I think by a French guy that did it, and it's a plugin script for Macs. But again, these are kind of done for, I guess, for from the community. You know, they're not actually from Autodesk yet. So I don't know if Autodesk will ever do it. But the reason why I started to do very heavily Modo recently is because this is, I guess, the quote-unquote legit version. You know, the one that is actually supported within Modo. It's being developed. I think they're gonna, you know, update it, and hopefully they're gonna make it better. So
basically, Mesh Fusion is just a plugin, right? It doesn't come.
No, exactly. So basically, if you buy Modo, I think Modo, if you don't have it before, I think Modo Full is actually pretty cheap again compared to like the Autodesk programs. I think Modo is like $1,300 or $1,400, something like that. So that's pretty cheap. I mean, if you think the max is 4K, right, or Maya is 4K, so that's almost one fourth of it. And yeah, it's a plugin. So if you buy Modo, then I think the Mesh Fusion plugin is like 400 something. So overall, if you buy Modo plus Mesh Fusion, I think it's within the 2K range. So, is my screen being?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
So I think that, let me check something. So I think when you have Modo by default, I think that, yeah, I think so. This is Modo by default when you have it without Mesh Fusion. So it's like that. But if you get Mesh Fusion and you buy and install it, you go into layouts. You can click on tab Fusion, and it will bring up these two new panels right here: Fusion Model and Fusion Schematic, which are the ones that you can use to, you know, to utilize Mesh Fusion. So I guess let's do like we could do like a super quick, I guess, intro as you asked me. Just again, like we won't do it like, you know, too long because I don't think it's, I mean, in the way that the place, like there's a lot of tutorials that you can see online just for the really basics in terms of interface. But just, I mean, the Modo interface is not extremely complex. Like this on the right here, it's kind of like the layer. Like you can think of this kind of like as the Photoshop, you know, layer tab, I guess. Most of the modeling stuff is right here in these panels on the left, which you can, of course, map to hotkeys. So, so in Modo, like, there's a lot of hotkeys by default. I mean, this is stuff again that you do like in every 3D package. So, for instance, in Modo, if you click L, you can select a loop of any sort. Like you can select it by faces or by vertices. If you double click on any edge, you will select a loop for that edge. So the selection tool in Modo are pretty handy. Like if you like hold the mouse wheel and you select it, it will select through. If you just right click, it'll select only the visible faces. So Modo has a lot of tools that are, as far as selection goes, they're pretty handy. If you have multiple meshes in the scene, if you just select even one face, if you then double click, it will select it all. Modo has something which is unique in Modo, I think, that Falloffs is something that other programs don't have. So a Falloff is basically something that allows you to basically, let's see, it's basically something that will just, like you can do any operation and it will just do it accordingly to this Falloff that you see here. So the smaller point is where it doesn't have any effect, and the larger point is where it has the most of the effect. So for instance, if we use the scale function, as you can see, we'll just scale more at the front because that's what the Falloff is telling Modo to do, right? So, and we can move this, right? So I think that, I mean, Falloffs are pretty handy actually. I think it's one of the things that makes it cool. And then Modo has something that is cool, and that I hope they will soon implement to make it work with Mesh Fusion, is edge weight. So normally in 3D, if you have a shape with subdivision modeling, if you want to keep the edge of this, tight, straight, you need to, add more edges to it. But Modo has like pixel subdivisions, which means that you can actually straighten it up like that without actually having to add any edges, because Modo will do it for you. So this is very handy, and this is very awesome actually. But the problem is that this kind of like way to make the edges sharp is not supported yet into Mesh Fusion, which means that if this was a mesh that we're going to use now for Mesh Fusion, you wouldn't actually like hold the edges like that. But I'm pretty sure that they have plans to make this viable. I think for I think they have plans to make it viable for people that have Mesh Fusion. So again, Modo has, there's a lot of stuff that is kind of standard. It's kind of standard in Modo, and you can find it really in any other program. You can add loops. You can slice polygons across faces. So in that sense, there's nothing really. I think that in terms of like, it's just a matter of like, if someone's watching and already is using another package, I think that picking up Modo is extremely easy, because there's a lot of stuff that is mapped to the hotkeys, so you can just learn those. And then Modo is pretty straightforward in that regard. It's not very, tough, I think, to pick up as opposed to say Maya, where it's just like what the hell, like, how do you do something there? Sometimes it can be intimidating, I think, if you start out. So let's see, let's go into that. So when you install Mesh Fusion, so this is the tab. So there's two tabs, like the schematic fusion and the fusion model. And so Modo is awesome. So by the way, I forgot to mention that I guess Mesh Fusion only works with quad faces, which means that the mesh that you have needs to be all quads. So this is an example of such a mesh. So that the cube needs to be, like, it doesn't matter what it is, but it has to be quads. So as you can see, there's no face that is not four-faced. So even if it's hexagon thing. And so in order to basically speed up the workflow, they have added this thing right here in the fusion meshes, cubics. So they've added these presets. So these presets are basically like a bunch of, like, as you can see, primitive shapes. They're all already done in quads. So, right? So like, as you can see, every cylinder is all done in quads. And again, this is very helpful because you don't need to, again, imagine if you just buy Mesh Fusion, you don't have to actually model all of these. You have them right here. And if you think that actually, if you think of any hard surface shape, really, a lot of them are just, it's a combination of a lot of simple, it's a lot of primitives basically combined together, if it makes sense. Like a lot of complex stuff, like the illusion of complexity is given by like a lot of simple stuff just combined in cuts, intersections, and adds, on the top of each other. So like the way Mesh Fusion works, again, this is for someone who's never used it, is that you can have any shape, and you can so let's say we have two meshes, this one and this one, and here on the top right, we have, these are the controls of the fusion, tab. So by clicking here, New Fusion, we bring up this panel right here, and we can do the things that I mentioned before. So we can do a union of meshes, we can subtract them, or we can intersect them. So, and the modality in which we can create it is then we can have a 3D tree right here in this view, which is what I'm going to do, or you can have them with the nodal structure if you click on the schematic fusion. So we'll do it this one first. So I'm going to go quickly through all the three different, I guess, variation to make sure that everyone is clear on this. So if you do union of meshes, there you go. So now Modo has merged these two together, right? So as you can see, these are actually fused together. And Modo creates this tree right here. So this tree basically represents what's going on in terms of boolean and adds in Modo. And so the top one is the add. So these right now, they're both, as you can see, both of these are actually on the top one. This pale green, I guess. It means that they're both being added. So this is why they're blending together, because they're being fused. If we put this one in, for instance, here, with drag and drop it here, we can get the intersection. So this is, as you can see, so it's the intersection between these two shapes that we're getting out of it. And if we drag and drop it to the bottom, as you can see in this case, we're removing it, right? So again, this is awesome because again, this is not something that you could have done before, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
You cannot do this otherwise. Now the
So
power of it.
Basically,
Huh? Sorry. No, go ahead.
basically you can model using all these space meshes you have provided by Modo in the first place, and do you use like your own meshes you have created to cut
Yeah.
and add from them, or you're just using the basic ones? How does it work?
So yeah, I'll show both, but basically a lot of the stuff, yes, can absolutely be done using the basic ones.
Okay.
I have also done some ones that I'm gonna bring them up in a second. Just so again, just to kind of like I guess show the power of. I mean, I think why this is pretty exciting if you do hard surface is that so this is a boolean, but it's a live boolean, which means that if we select it, this can be moved, right? So as you can see, this updates the mesh in real time.
That's awesome.
And because it's because it's a shape that is quads, so these shapes are quads, and they're not polygon or whatever. I guess the strength of this too is that you can actually like deform it, right? And these will still update. So this is why it's pretty cool. If you want to toggle these on and off at any time, if you click on tree this, you can remove this at any time, and if you click here, it brings it back. So sometimes the scene gets really like heavy in terms of just a lot of visual noise. If you click here, mesh viz, it will just remove everything, so you can kind of have a clean preview of what's going on. So again, this is kind of like you can keep editing this at any time. You can do anything to this shape, and it will just keep updating. So this is why this is pretty cool. And of course, this works exactly like if this was a real mesh. So if we can grab it and duplicate it, whatever we do, this shape it's still, updating itself.
Nice. So it's like cutting off the edges and creating some new shapes from
So you need
the.
you need to think of a kind of a I guess in a subtraction or add kind of way. Like if you want to add a shape, you can just add it. So again, like if you wanted to do this before, like there's no way you could have done this like that in a second. So this way it's very nice. So sometimes actually, let me say something for if someone's gonna use it. I think this is something that was driving me insane. Like the first couple of days I was using it, is that sometimes actually this shape doesn't have too much, but sometimes, basically, if you're trying to cut into Modo with a very complex shape, or you're doing something funky that Modo doesn't like, or rather the receiving mesh, like this mesh is the receiving mesh, right, in which we're adding and we're subtracting onto it. So, like as you can see, can you see that this edge here is broken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, this is not too bad in the sense that I think if this was a render from very far away like that, it actually wouldn't be too much of an issue. But sometimes you can create shapes that break it more, and I'm sure they will do it as I'm gonna demo it because it happens all the time. But what you can do in that case is that basically you can click on the receiving mesh. You can go here into user channel, and it says like fusion subdivision. And if you basically what it is, it's basically just the subdivision level of the mesh itself. So if we bring it up, basically we're subdividing the core shape more, which means that we're giving more to the mesh, I guess, it has more information. It has more information to grab upon. So like if we bring this up to 3, 4. See, it's trying to update it, and the more you put it, the more it's trying to fix it. So it looks, you see, in this case, it looks like that even at 5, it still has some sort of artifacts on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, there's really not that much you can do, because you can keep bumping it up, see, like at 6 and making it higher, but I think that you want to have a trade-off, right? In the sense that if you put this way too high, your mesh will be too dense once we bake it. This is something to keep in mind. Like sometimes you can do very complex cuts on the top of one shape. You can put a lot of stuff, and you will get some artifacts, and you can fix them by bumping this up. But the problem with that is that your mesh, once you bake it, will be very heavy, so it won't be very good in to bring over into a different layer, into a different file, and into for rendering purposes won't be very ideal, if it makes sense.
So I have a question, Gavriil.
Sure.
So what if you're building an asset for a game or something? Would you have to worry about those polygons over there, or is this just because it's concept art that it's just a render, you can fix it in Photoshop?
Correct. So like because this is for concept art, if you do this render, like it will be almost basically, as you can see, impossible to see it there. Again, in most cases it can be fixed. This is just like Modo, the receiving shape is not really, Modo doesn't really like it. Sometimes you can also try to actually subdivide this shape itself and see if this makes it, but in this case actually made it worse. So, oops, no, wait. See, sometimes if you put this way too high, like actually the cutter shape will not be good either. So, no, in the sense, if you do game assets, there's no way, because let me show you something actually real quick. If we actually want to bake this into an actual, because right now this is a mesh that it's generated procedurally. So if you click on the fusion mesh here, and again in the layer menu, if we click here, we're going to convert to mesh item. Modo is going to tell us, yes, let's convert it. And now it's a mesh item. So let me bring it to a new layer. So as you can see, there's this hole right here, right? Because Modo didn't like it.
Yeah.
And this is again something that in the concept I wouldn't give a shit, because it's something that you can patch in Photoshop. It's like less than a pixel.
Mm-hmm.
But for games, actually, in general, this mesh is not ideal to begin with. Even if this mesh didn't have this hole right here. So as you can see, the way Mesh Fusion blends in things is that it keeps actually pretty decent topology anywhere we didn't do anything, right? So it's still quad. But in the areas in which we fuse together, there's a lot of, I guess, what for game would be considered dirty mesh. So you see, there's a lot of twists, handguns, and so forth. So if someone was doing this, I guess, for a game, the best way they could do it is that they could use this to just create the shapes that otherwise would be a bit of a pain in the ass to do, and then you could just retopologize it on the top. So you could just like just go over it and just repatch it. Kind of like, imagine like almost if you're doing something from ZBrush. Like if someone is using ZBrush, like, right, sometimes like you can do some shapes and then you decimate them, and you export them, you bring them over into any 3D package, and then the mesh is like crazy, right? It's like completely triangulated. So in order to have it working, you need to retopologize it. Actually, ZBrush has some tools to also retopologize it and make it quads, but the logic is the same, that when you do these kind of operations, the outcome is good for concept, but it's not good for production modeling.
Yeah, okay.
So,
that answers the question very well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still nil. God damn it.
What?
It's still nil. Well, we're playing against each other right now, Gavriil. Belgium's playing Russia right now. 86 minutes, 0-0. I really wanted to kick your Sputnik ass, but...
Okay. Yeah, actually, I wasn't aware that we were playing now. I just remember when you told me.
You're rooting for Italy, right?
Rooting for Italy and Russia and US.
Oh,
so
US. Well, US is playing tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Against Portugal, my second nationality. Man, this is so funny. What a day! What a day.
Correct.
Oh, JJ says hi, by the way.
What?
No, nothing. I'm just trolling.
So the biggest power of Mesh Fusion, it looks like it's that it's not destructive, right? So we can work
it's not destructive. Back and forth. This is the beauty, and also another absolutely awesome thing about it is that again, you can change these things on the fly, like as you said, like once you have this, you can,
What the hell, guys?
Sorry, we just scored.
Okay.
and basically, sorry, there's a thing called strip. So basically, once you fuse two meshes together, if you go with if you're in item mode and you go next to the two meshes, you can see we get this highlighted. As you can see, this kind of like like basically the outer edge where they connect. And if you click on it, it will bring this panel which is called as the strip control. And this is awesome because it allows you to control basically the way that these meshes are blended or fused together. So you have to strip width. So as you can see, you can change it again. Keep in mind that the crazier you go, you're breaking the mesh, right? Like we can't make it this big because this is too small. So, but look, we can do a completely super tight cut, right? Or we can add an edge to it. And we can also change the profile. So we can make the cut sharper or smoother. So this is extremely awesome. Again, this is kind of stuff that to do again in hard surface.
Are you able to combine that with the Falloff?
No, this doesn't work with Falloff. Just like this doesn't work with what is it called? The weight tool, the edge weight tool. So right now this is not, but once actually, I think that they will make it work, as you said, for the Falloffs and for the weight tool. I think it will be basically extremely powerful because you'll be able to basically perhaps change, the way this strip basically goes.
Yeah, like from wide to thin or something.
Exactly, exactly. And by the way, and again, this is kind of like because Modo is super buggy, especially Mesh Fusion. If sometimes like you go around this and you actually cannot select this for some reason, like sometimes this should always happen, but if it doesn't, if you click on strip option and then update strips right here, this usually fixes it and brings it up. Although I have to say that sometimes, really as funny as it sounds, just when you're doing stuff in Mesh Fusion, sometimes we'll get like very like weird, buggy, like shit going on, and then the only way to do it is actually just save, close, and reopen. Actually, like sometimes I've tried like just click update strips and it wouldn't do it, and then you just reboot it and it works.
I feel like those expensive programs like Maya and stuff, they're more expensive, but they feel a bit more robust than Modo, don't they? Like, I find Modo to often be buggy and sort of not stable.
Well, Modo, Mesh Fusion is definitely unstable, but this is kind of like expected of something so new in that sense. Like it's just like their first, I guess it's their first attempt at doing it, and I mean no other program offers it. So in that sense, yes, it is definitely more buggy, but at the same time, you can not do this in any other program. So it's kind of again, it's a trade-off, right? As far as regular modeling, yes and no. Yes, in a sense that like Max and XSI and all these other programs are very robust in the sense that if you say import like heavy OBJs or you have very dirty geometry and you're doing like very, very dirty modeling and you have heavy meshes and so forth, they handle it very well. Like Max and XSI in particular, they handle just some dirty shit like so well. Just you can, like if you wanted to kit bash some nasty stuff together, just complete triangulate it and very heavy and move it around and duplicate it and mirror it.
It works fine.
Definitely Max and these other programs were better, but in Modo is more for like I guess very clean type of modeling, like very just patiently build your shapes and have everything subdivided in layers too. Like this is another thing of Modo. Like if you have a very heavy mesh, if you import it, it will just be in one layer. And again, like say in Max, it will just super smooth. In Modo, will just start to choke and lag down, and this is because Modo would like to have every component in its different layers. So another way, in case you're picking up Modo, you want to keep doing some, I guess, dirty modeling, is that you can split everything into, a different layer, and it will help it. So let me show you something more. I mean, the reason why I think this is cool is because literally you could have almost no knowledge of 3D, just pick up the navigation in Modo and so forth, and you can just start to play with it. It's kind of like almost like ZBrush for hard surface modeling, if you make sense, right? Like in ZBrush, when people don't need to learn a lot, you can just need to have an introduction in 1 hour, and then they can try to start sculpting right away, and they can just keep messing with it forever.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the same logic in Modo here, is that like you don't need to almost have, in the sense, any knowledge. You can just go here and mess with it and try to do shapes they're like you can do anything, and Modo will basically let you do it.
Gavriil, can you recommend any resources to learn from in terms of learning Modo and Mesh Fusion? And maybe tell us a little bit about how you have learned this particular software.
So for Modo, I think that let me think. The one that I watched was, I want to say that there's a Linda tutorial, perhaps. I don't remember, because basically, let me put it this way. Actually, I did the intro of Modo Me a long time ago, and I kind of like just remembered it because it's not very hard to learn.
Okay.
I think that the ones I watched is that there's one on Linda that is called Intro to Modo 601, I believe, or 701. And right now I'm running 801, which is the last version.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a Gnomon workshop one that is, I think it's a dude doing a vehicle, and then there's one from Digital Tutor. There's two actually from Digital Tutor. There's a guy modeling a Mini, and there's a guy modeling a vacuum cleaner. And actually, ironically enough, the vacuum cleaner one, I think it's the most useful one because.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. It's a pretty complex shape, right?
Oh, sorry, what's that? I was looking at.
It's a pretty complex shape. I mean, it's got really nice curves and stuff.
What's as a complex shape? The vacuum cleaner?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there's that going on. So that's why it's pretty good. It's pretty cool to learn from that. But does show, I guess, again, traditional approach to modeling. An intro to Modo, I think any of the any of the ones that I mentioned, I think they have they cover it. I think the Linda one is the one there. Yes, if you've never ever used it, you can absolutely watch it, and you will get absolutely all the fundamentals of Modo. So as you can see again, this kind of shape, even something as simple as that, kind of a geary shape. This is something that it would have taken a lot longer, I guarantee you, to do. And now look how easy it is to do. And you have full control. It's very clean. Unlike if you try to attempt to do sometimes stuff like this in ZBrush cannot always be, the cleanest. So again, this is really the power of Mesh Fusion. So let's do something, I guess.
It almost looks like a Gatling gun or something.
Yeah.
So guys, I will be posting links into the.
Oh, yeah. Let me send you some links too, maybe, so you can post them.
Awesome, of course.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna bring them up here. Actually, look. So there's two websites you can go to. They're very useful. So the first one is flipnormals.com. I think it's a guy from Denmark. I think that's where he's from, and he's very nice. And he has this thing called faster modeling in Modo. And here it explains how to customize Modo like a lot, because again, you can do a lot of stuff with hotkeys, pie menus. This is the power of Modo, really. I think one of the number one, rather top 3 strengths of Modo is that you can heavily customize it, like very heavily. You can have just pie menus, hotkeys, right clicks, like flying menus, and this guy shows all of it. So this is extremely useful, extremely useful. So it's flipnormals.com.
Cool.
And the second one, which is kind of like the Bible of Modo, is this guy named Seneca. But this guy has done like a billion, trillion, quadrillion Modo scripts, and he has them here on his website. And some are a bit harder to install, and some are a bit easier. There's the preview, some have the video that shows how they work, but there's like a ton. As you can see, they do a lot of stuff. So these are very useful resources for.
Right. How much do they cost?
No, it's free. It's just you can download.
Nice.
So So I think if you're completely new, I think you can watch an intro to Modo in Linda and Digital Tutors, and then the The Gnomon one, I think, is pretty decent for modeling. And then once you are familiar with that, you can start to add these scripts. And what they do is, again, stuff that, for instance, let's say that some do like very basic stuff, but it's pretty handy. So like, for instance, there's like stuff like the circle script, so you don't have to actually move the edges in position because it would actually do it, you see, automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff that it's convenient to have, so that you don't need to, you know.
Death Star.
Done.
Yep.
So
JJ is proud.
So yeah, so these are the two websites to go.
Okay, awesome. I have already posted the links to these websites on the event page. So if you are looking for seeing those, just go to the Facebook event page and you will find those there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So let's try to do like some shape that it basically has actually all the same all the same things, but just let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna show also some of my shapes. So as you can see here, there's the cubics, and these are the meshes that are the Modo default ones. There's also a lot of other ones that I've done. Some again are just simple meshes, but just you don't want to redo it. So let me give you another example. Let's say that you have a cube. Now it's a rectangle, and you wanted to do like the always present truss shape, right, into hard surface. For instance, you can already duplicate the the default triangle the Modo gives you, like in this kind of pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that actually you don't always need to arrange them in this order if it makes sense. So it's already here. Oops, I did the opposite.
So now you're kind of using a custom mesh for Mesh Fusion, right?
Exactly. So wait, let me put this.
So do you just look for common industrial shapes and then create your own stuff for that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can reference it off of that, or you can. So there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, of course, you can reference that, but again, if we really look at a lot of industrial shapes, a lot of them are just primitives, just combined together. Like, I mean, in the sense, even this is just triangles, just right. Like the truss shape itself is just basically like a Boolean operation of triangles all next to each other, if it makes sense. So again, like here we have the same issue in which some of the mesh is breaking up, and we can try to fix it by bumping this higher, and as you can see in this case, it fixed it a bit better. So look.
Mm-hmm.
So at two subdivisions, actually, it's not doing it at all because it doesn't have enough information. If we bring it up to 3, it's starting to cut it, but it's still like messed up. If we bring it up to 4, it fixes it, and I would keep this at 4, the maximum. I wouldn't go higher than that. So if this is an example of just custom shapes that are handy to have, or even something, let's say, like just this kind of cylinder. Again, this is super easy to do. Normally, there's nothing, just a cylinder that has a bunch of bevels and extrusions, and the power of this is that you don't need to always do this over and over. You can just save it, and then you can apply it, and then it will just do the shape itself, right? So that's neat. And you can combine this, doing more. Like you can create, like I didn't finish to do all the patterns that I wanted to do, but you can. I think there's one in Modo. It's called Array. Yes, there you go. Look. Oh,
nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so basically you can mix the regular Modo modeling tools. I mean, not modeling tools, but duplicate tools with Mesh Fusion to provide, for example, some more complexity to it, right?
Yeah, correct. So the whole point is that to ease out the pipeline. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Jonas, is it 1-0 for Belgium?
Yeah, man, it's over.
It's over.
In the end of the game, it was like 87 minutes or something.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right, because it's like I completely lost. You know, I'm a night person. I wake up in the afternoon and I work at night, so I have no comprehension of time. Like for me right now, it feels it's like 2 p.m. at the most, and it's like 10 p.m. here. So.
Well, it's the second longest day in the year as well, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was the summer solstice yesterday.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Damn, you came prepared. I see. So, let's see. I haven't really no idea what exactly I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to do like what I'm doing my hard surface spam, just something that looks cool. Let's see.
So what about something that you think through before, like you make some sketches, concept sketches in Photoshop, and then try to reincorporate the design you created in 2D into 3D?
Yeah, actually, okay. So actually, I have an example by coincidence. So let me.
By absolute coincidence.
No, but absolute coincidence is true because I don't really save a lot of the sketches that I do. So let me see if I can. So because you asked, I think that I have this. And so I can show actually both the. Well, I think it's loading. So let me go back here. So yes, I have it, I think. So let me bring it up. So this is, actually this is not the finished one. This is some sort of sketches.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually just a crop of it. I have a lot more, but I need to find them somewhere. But anyway, this is kind of like these sketches right here that led to this guy.
Okay.
Awesome.
But this is not something I always do. But
so you made some initial idea and sketch out it, and then you can still like improvise while doing 3D, right? And adding something that you make an error.
Exactly. So the beauty is that you don't have to actually lock to anything that you drew before. Like it's not like you're a modeler, so you actually have to follow, whatever someone else sent you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can sketch it and you can refine it. In this case, I liked it, so this was actually very close to the finished one. But you can improve it. You can add things that you didn't really maybe plan to have necessarily. Actually, I have another perfect example of a mesh fusion item. Like basically.
Nice.
As you can see, this is completely like basic shapes that have cuts in them. Actually, we can take a look at this. I have it saved somewhere. But let me try to. I want to try to do something. Let's see. So usually when I do something like that, directing 3D, I kind of always want to have an idea of what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
but this is not always the case. So sometimes I improvise and I go on the fly. Like sometimes there's a sketch, sometimes there's an idea, sometimes there's nothing, and I just go with the flow.
So you mentioned that, like Darek said, that you don't actually have to follow the sketch exactly, and the time investment is much less committing, right? There's not so much time that you have to put comparing regular modeling. So it actually allows you to do more iterations and to explore and to improvise. Am I right, or?
No, you're correct. You're correct.
Okay. So it looks like it's just a perfect concept art tool, right? It's just.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's awesome.
It's not perfectly useful for game dev, like in a production pipeline, but actually in doing like concepts and visuals, it's actually awesome. Yeah, and the fact that you can go back and just move all these shapes and adjust the edges back and forth is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly.
It reminds me of, it may be funny, but it reminds me of Illustrator, that Adobe program. It actually has the same features, but in 2D, so we can actually subtract and unite vector paths to create different shapes and cut from them and add to them, and you don't actually, I don't think you can modify them later on, but so it's destructive, but it reminds me of that, and it's actually
so is it like because Illustrator is what is it, like a vector program, right?
Yeah, it's just for creating like logos and stuff like that, basically brand identities and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, it's a vector-based program, and it's kind of similar with that, because I find it really intuitive to add and cut. It's actually really
yeah, so this is like how, if you know a CAD program, like if people that actually do product work, like you know, like they use like SolidWorks and you know, Rhine and all these programs they operate with booleans. So when you do a product or whatever, you don't actually pull edges and blend them, whatever. You just you actually just cut shit and add to it. So one thing that I like to do, and this comes with, I guess, using Mesh Fusion a bit, is that if you have a shape, and to this shape you actually do too many cuts to it. So let's say that we have a cylinder, right? And let's say we do like 50 cuts into it, okay? So the mesh will actually be extremely laggy. And the way that you can overcome that problem is that if you have a shape, you can try to plan as many cuts preemptively as possible. So if it makes sense, let me grab an example of this. So, so some of the, so this shape right here. So this shape right here was a test, and this is super quick to do. We can redo this right away. This is something that all these cuts and adds were basically just, they were not, like you actually do not perform the cut, you don't perform the fusion until the very last moment. Because let me put it this way, let's say you have this shape and you add like this cut, and then this cut, and then this one right here, and then this one right here, and then this one right here. At this point the mesh starts to lag. So the more you want to add and the more you want to move them around, the actually messier it gets, as far as it's not very easy to move around. It just is going to chuck down. And I mean, I say this with a very beefy machine, so I am completely sure that if you have a, you know, a regular computer, it's completely almost unusable. So the goal is that to do something like that, and again, we can do it. We can almost think of this as almost like a place, like we can have this rectangle, and then we can put all the cutter shapes, right? And then perform the cut at the very last moment in order to maximize the lag, in order to have the least amount possible. Because once we do it, then it will be over, if it makes sense, right? So like once we actually cut it, that's it. Like we don't need to move anymore. So this is why it's pretty useful.
Okay, so this is what you are doing right now. You are not subtracting yet.
Exactly.
You're not adding yet, right?
Exactly. So I'm not cutting anything yet. I'm looking at the shape. I'm kind of trying to think in my mind, how is it going to look like when? Oh wait, what's that? How is it going to look when I when I cut it? And it's not that I'm necessarily going to like it, but again, this is kind of like the plan, is that I want to have just plan some stuff ahead. Let's see.
So you've mentioned about the references and inspiration that you obviously find for some industrial shapes, but do you have any, favorite source of the inspiration, like the documentaries on National Geographic, like big constructions or something like this, you can watch and try to implement into your design?
As far as inspiration, I mean, you mean like a visual library?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually mean, I would be lying if I'd say that, oh yeah, like I've been using this for years, but there's a Pinterest, which I found out, like, I think last month. And before it used to be actually Tumblr, and it's still Tumblr. There's like some of my favorite, let me see, like some of my favorite Tumblrs are, like, so there's this guy who is an industrial designer, it's called I'm a Shape. Shapeshifter.
Nice.
It's shapeshifting.tumblr.com, and this guy just posts a ton of just industrial stuff all the time.
Okay.
So that's very cool. So if you want, you can put this in the
yeah, I will put it
in the chat too. So this guy just posts a lot of industrial stuff. And then again, I want to show you that no matter the shape, like even look this hexapod, just look at this. If you think of this as just subtraction and adds, it's not very complex in terms of, look, it's a shape with cuts, cylinders with, cuts, line, cuts. So it's, again, most of industrial shapes that look complex to our eyes, it's just a repetition of simple, just simple subtraction and add addition to the, I guess, to the form. There's really, even the ones that look like, the most complex, it's usually really just a lot of shape that are not too crazy if you take them by themselves, does it make sense? Like a lot of these shapes, they're not too crazy if you try to tackle them one by one. So that's the, I guess that's the key point. Another one is this one. This is cool too. This one is, I think this one is awesome because I remember the first one I saw this one, I was blown away by the fact that there's like a freaking, like, it changes color. This is like, this is awesome. Like it changes like look from red to like less desired to like white to like dark. And this is cool. Like this is also has a lot of cool reference. There's another one. This one is also cool. Sid766. This guy also posts a lot of cool shit. I think my top three are these ones: I'm a Shapeshifter, Neuromancer, and Sid. So in these ones, I usually go for a lot of the reference that you're talking about, and I would save it and organize it. But at the same time, there's also Pinterest that I'm not logged in this one. Wait. There's yeah, there it is. So look, this is, you can follow boards of people that have cool stuff, and I think this became my favorite reference because you can organize it and you can follow. So I have my pins, and this is where I get the inspiration from. So this is how I would look at a shape and would try to, this is basically the best, I think, in terms of reference.
This is just stuff you find and you add it to your Pinterest.
Exactly. You can have there's a search here, look.
Yeah.
And you can follow people. Like, there's people that follow you or you follow that have cool stuff, and if you click on a profile, you can check their boards, and if there's some board that you like say military, you click on this. If you like it, you click follow board, and then this will become, will go on your feed every time you log in, together with all the other boards you follow. So this is my favorite inspiration thing, together with Tumblr now.
Yeah, it's like having a reference library, but just online. It's really handy, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually, I'm sure that I'm talking for a lot of concept areas, right? When I say that keeping track of all the references is super hard and super messy. Like if you start to collect a lot, especially over the years, right?
Yeah.
So
so many gigabytes.
Exactly. So this is one of the shapes that we're talking about. So they asked about more complex shapes. So this is kind of like a bit of a more complex shape that was done. So again, some are just very simple, and there's nothing fancy about them. Like let's say this one, right? And some can be a bit more complex. Keep in mind that the more complex the shape, again, the more subdivision levels the receiving mesh will require, and the heavier you'll get. So this is something to definitely keep in mind. Again, at this point, I'm not still cutting anything because I still want to have the mesh light. gonna bring another of the more complex one. Again, this is not really, I mean, I call it complex, it's not really complex at all, it's just, again, a bunch of shapes. They're pretty straightforward.
It's amazing how easily you can get really complex looking model, and you haven't even started cutting, right? So.
Correct.
So the mesh fusion is just a few months old, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's
like
just
half a year or something.
I think it's some months. Yeah, it's not older. It's not older than 3-4, I think. And this is why, like, some of the other stuff from the other programs just came out recently, like just like the stuff for Max and Maya is like Maya 1 didn't come out, and Max just came out, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks ago or something like that. So let's see. I mean, let's start to cut. Why not? All right. So let's start to add. So now I've used this too.
Yeah, it's a brilliant system. I'm actually surprised that no one came up with it earlier.
Yeah, I think it's because, I mean, it's not probably very, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing. Maybe it's not super easy to implement in terms of, like, programming. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how obviously this will be programmed, but this could be my only guess. Like, you're right. It feels very late in that sense. It's like CAD programs have been around forever. Like, you know. Let me save before it crashes. Oops.
Jeremy is asking if you still practice your 2D, or are you just only working 3D these days?
I do, as I said, I do a lot of 2D, but it's 2D on the top of 3D. So it's basically, again, it's something. Let's say, okay, let's even say actually that this is it. That this would be actually what we bring over. We render this, and we still want this to be an actual cool-looking render. I mean, cool-looking concept. Then I would do 3D. I mean, I would do 2D in Photoshop to basically bring this to you know, a very decent level. So I would just probably, you know, paint all the cut lines, paint the screws in, paint, you know, all the vehicles, paint the scratches. So it's like a lot of, I guess, almost very clean in that sense post-process work. As far as painting, I've not painted in forever, but this is because even though I do something like, let's say, an environment, I would just still do the base in 3D. So I would model the architecture, like the rough architecture, and then I would, you know, light it, and then I would just go over and start with, you know, photo bashing, photos, textures. But once you have, if you have a solid base, it's very easy to progress. I mean, photorealistically pretty quickly. I mean, like, for instance, you're basically you do this all the time, right? Like you're a master, like, you know, doing this painting into photo bashing, right? And
well, but I'm wondering, so do you basically just block it out and then do like an AO pass, and you do all the texturing in Photoshop? You don't.
You can do that. I mean, we can. Again, I'm gonna show this.
I mean, your texturing looks so tight. I find it hard to believe that you just slapped that on in Photoshop afterwards.
I'll show some in Keyshot now, but again, it depends. Some, if you're talking, for instance, about the robots, most of the robots have on websites. They are textured in 3D, but there's a lot of
environment, like the background buildings and you know, walls and, you know, roof details, all that stuff.
Again, it depends from piece to piece, but yeah, some is 3D, some is photos, some is just some is just photos. They're distorted into perspective, blurred in the background, and so forth.
It's just dark magic, right?
Yeah, it's dark magic, correct.
It will be actually awesome to see you going from what are you doing right now to something.
So this is the goal, actually. I'm definitely gonna bring this over.
Awesome.
And so for simple stuff, you're more of a Keyshot renderer, and then for like complicated environments, you do V-Ray or?
Correct. So
Yeah.
for a lot of my stuff, I like V-Ray. I mean, sorry, Keyshot a lot. And for the very beefy renders, yes, I like V-Ray. So let's see.
Yeah, I think the photorealism of V-Ray is kind of unmatched, almost.
So can you get V-Ray working with Modo, or I'm not into 3D?
There's no V-Ray for Modo yet, but they're doing it.
Okay. So how are you working with V-Ray? Is it a standalone application?
No, V-Ray is a plugin for Max.
Right. Yeah. So you bring it.
No, sorry. Actually, okay, no, wait a second. There's actually V-Ray for everything. There's V-Ray for Max, for Maya, for XSI, and for Cinema 4D. For Rhino, for SketchUp, and now they're doing the Modo one too. Okay, so there's actually V-Ray for everything actually, and it works slightly different in other programs. So actually, if you learn it in one, I mean, the core understanding is the same, but just like the interface tends to be different. So like, I've seen like the what do you call it? Like the Maya one, and like the interface is just so different that again, if you kind of like need to repick it up in that sense. So again, I'm just trying to like, I'm not sure exactly. I'm sure eventually I'm gonna end up somewhere, but for now I'm just. Let's see.
So maybe we will give you some time to mobile this thing out, and meanwhile, Jonas, can you introduce us to the contest we are launching?
Yeah, I think Darek, he posted it about an hour ago, so you can see it on the Level Up group in Facebook.
What contest?
It's the first Level Up contest.
Oh shit! What is it about?
About making a picture. So it just we came up with the idea of creating one title. It's the Man of Armadan, and Armadan is a city, and it's really up to you what the genre you will choose. And we give you 1 month to create a picture connected with it, and you can submit you can.
Darek, can you share my screen meanwhile?
Yeah, of course.
I will just showcase that.
So basically, it's like a 1 month contest, and we will receive the submission via our Level Up email, and we will be focusing on 3 things like technical skills, design, and originality, because we've seen a lot of amazing art, but we also want to give a chance to people who have the sense of the design and cool ideas. So we also would like to ask you for including like a short description for your pictures. It can be like 2 lines of the text, and you can explain what is the story behind your Armadan, and how do you depict the subject we gave you. So yeah, it's like the first time, and we have 3 prizes, 3 art books from How to Train a Dragon, The Last of Us, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And we want to thank for all who donated to our site and still keep it going, because the more you support us, the more chances for next contest and more bigger prizes will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the first time, and we can't wait to see your submissions. So yeah, it started today, and have 1 month to participate. So we encourage you to join.
Yeah, exactly. About the donations, again, I want to thank all the people that gave us that helped us with the donations already, and we are planning to actually include like a subsection on the website with all the names written down, all the people that gave even $1 to us. We just want to thank all these guys, all these people that think that what we are doing is enough to support it. So I'm really thankful for that. So thanks again. If you want to help us, just click donate in here, and you can cover the server space. You can help us bring out to more contests and hopefully devote more time to what we are doing in here. Yeah. So.
Yeah, the more support we will get, the more the things we can take up, like the contest and all the other activities. So. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we have updated the resources page. So basically, just go to resources. There's much more cool links in here that you can use and explore. And actually, we have created a cool section in here. So basically, if you know some cool website, some useful stuff, basically just paste in the link, describe it in here, and submit, and we will see it on our email, and it will be super easy for us to just implement it into this section of the website. So yeah, I think that's all from Level Up News.
And is it like people can paint it in any medium? Like, is it like painting or?
Yeah, it's like everything you can use to create a picture for it. So it's like 3D and picture photo bashing and all the shit. So.
Okay, Darek, you can switch to Gavriil's screen.
Oh, okay. So it's again on the Gavriil screen.
Okay, perfect. So you have added these cylinders using array or?
Which ones? These ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are with where is it? Modo. It's what's it called? It's called clone for just the straight line.
Okay. And one thing I want to ask is, do you think about functionality when you are creating these? Because you are creating basically visual shapes that, in that type of design, have to be sometimes translated into some functionality, right? And how do you connect functionality with visuals? Does it come from your experience, or it's just the thing you are implementing on a go?
I mean, there's definitely like experience in the sense that the more you do it, right, like everything, the more you get the hang of it. But when you work in 3D, as I said, even if you have never done a lot of industrial design or animation and movement and so forth, if you have a shape, if you were doing like a joint or leg, whatever, you would understand kind of right away if actually what you've done can be bent or not, or if you can, collide with other pieces or not. So it's kind of like it's both. It's kind of like you have experience. The more you do it, the better you get. The more reference, visual libraries in your head, the more you can do it. But at the same time, again, kind of 3D is kind of like this reality check that make sure that no matter what, you can't cheat it. So let's see. So for instance, these two shapes that I've added here before, these are pretty heavy. So these I'm absolutely gonna do them at the very last moment. I'm not gonna, I don't plan to fuse them until the very last moment. Although I also want to jump into Keyshot later, not too far away from now. Let's see.
So later on, you are assigning like all the materials in Modo, or you are using Keyshot for that?
We can do either way. Like you can assign the materials in Modo and then import it in Keyshot. I'm not sure this.
Which one do you prefer? Like, do you like Modo renderer, or do you prefer Keyshot for like product renderings?
I prefer Keyshot rendering. I mean, Modo's rendering has more of the sunlight, which Keyshot doesn't have, which is good.
Yeah.
But for a lot of mechanical shots, Keyshot is good. But what I'm saying is that when you import the mesh, and again, I'm going to show this real quick later, very quickly. I mean, not
Okay.
basically, what you can do is that you can, when you import basically in Keyshot, you can either tell Keyshot to recognize all the different parts, right? Like all the different parts that we have. So Keyshot is going to separate them, and you can apply different material based on the fact that there are different mesh items based on these layers right here.
Okay.
Or we can apply materials into Modo. So disregarding these, we can apply them, and then we can tell Keyshot, hey, look, this model already has materials going on, keep them the same, and Keyshot will do that. I used to do that. I don't do this anymore. I always now just import them with different, just keeping the different objects, and then I tell Keyshot to recognize that.
So you have worked for games, you have worked for movies. How the work you're doing is actually different.
So in the last,
yeah, go ahead.
in the last, I guess, 2 years, a lot of the work I've done is similar in a sense that I've been hired to do like robots and weapons for either games or movies. A lot of my work for movies has been done very early on, like some even pitch stage, some like super early on, like for basically directors that have an idea, and they call you, or you have a Skype meeting, or when I was still in LA, I just went to their house or to the studio or whatever, and then you talk to them, and then you talk to them, and you do the concept, you send it back and forth. Game wise, I've worked in house in a few companies. Like I was in house at Blizzard, I was in house at Kojima, where I worked on Metal Gear Solid 5. For other stuff like Call of Duty, Destiny, Halo, and a bunch of other games, I did it remotely, so I actually didn't go anywhere. But the process has been roughly the same. So I usually do either like sketches, like the ones I showed. Usually I provide just one round of sketches at the beginning, and then based off of that, like I make the silhouettes in 3D. Or sometimes I just do the silhouettes in 3D, and I send those. And then usually, I ask them to pick one or two at the most from, like, say, the 5 that they have. And then we start to refine only 2. And then once they like one, then we just go with one. So it's kind of like to try to narrow it down, in a way as quickly as possible. Again, this is kind of like one of the cons of 3D. Like, you can't just keep, messing around for too long before it starts to get expensive. You can just explore total freedom for weeks, or basically, it's not viable at all. So I'm gonna try to finish in the next 10 minutes, and most of the we can move.
Of course, perfect. So the gray items aren't merged yet, right?
These are. I guess maybe on the screen is. This is kind of I guess. Am I colorblind? I think this is green.
Okay, it may be green. There's a lot of compression going on.
Yeah, it's just that you made me doubtful. Like, this is how I found out that I was colorblind live.
Yeah, there's a tiny bit of hint that it's actually green. So yeah. So the blue ones are already merged, right?
Correct. So the ones those are the ones that have the live boolean. They're already they've already been merged. Yes. Correct. You always I always accidentally select edges. As you can see, it's kind of it happens all the time.
So do you, for your professional work, knowing Mesh Fusion, do you go back and do regular modeling in Modo, or all the work you do right now is just Mesh Fusion?
No, it's both, but I've been trying to use them more and more just because I mean, it makes it funnier to work, I guess, rather than, have a bit more of a boring approach, if it makes sense.
Yeah, it's just much more fun, right? It's much
Yeah,
faster.
It's absolutely more fun, just 100%, you're right.
Knowing your background, that it's actually that a lot of stuff you did on your industrial design program was really manual. You didn't you have done plenty of real modeling with paper and different materials, right?
Yeah, like clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe mesh fusion. I feel if I would have that experience, I think I would feel like mesh fusion is something much more closer to what I was doing, what you were doing at the industrial design program, which was just combining shapes, cutting out. It's kind of intuitive in the sense that it's much more straightforward and it's easier to understand, right?
Yeah, you're completely right. This is why, as I said, people that do industrial design, they teach them how to use CAD programs. So CAD programs are the ones where everything works in booleans. So you cut, but these programs are very hard to use in the sense that, I mean, they're not hard to use, but they're hard to do complex shapes. Like you could never. The reason why no one has ever done like an Iron Man suit in freaking SolidWorks is because it's completely impossible to do. Like it's a brain fuck to try to attempt it because it's the flow of the mesh, to say do a pectoral piece that goes into the abdomen and connects it, it's not good. So those programs are good to do very clean, very crisp kind of cuts like the one we're doing now. So there's always some little bag going on. I think it's not showing me.
What about the scale of the model? For example, if you are working on something, because I can already say I think I can say what's the size of the object you're creating right now, because of the screws, holes, and stuff like that. But do you think about the scale before you actually attempt doing a model?
Yeah, no, of course. The scale is completely when I was starting this, I was thinking it'd be like a small to medium-sized prop, so nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the size I was imagining.
Yeah, so that's good. It's good you didn't say this is huge, right?
It's like a building.
It's like a building of. So let me see. I'm trying to think of a way I can wrap it up this in a way that looks cool. A bit cool.
It looks cool to me. I mean, it opens the whole mesh fusion thing. I mean, I heard about it from my friends and art buddies and stuff like that, but and I was trying to get into modeling in Modo, but I'm so I'm much more. I'm still a painter. I think I'm still a concept artist, but painter. First, I want immediate results.
Sure.
Yeah, and it seems like it takes the mesh fusion takes away the boring part. I mean, of course it's different. Of course it's a little bit different tool, but for what we are doing, the fact that you don't have to learn all of the Modo deforming tools and Falloffs and stuff like that. Of course, if you know them, that's better.
You can still use it to you can still use a Falloff on a shape, and the shape will still be able to.
Yeah, you showed that, right?
It makes sense. So, for instance, if we have this linear Falloff, we can still use the linear Falloff, right? But this is still a shape that we can use. In mesh fusion, if it makes sense, right? So if we were doing this, okay, we can use this as a cutter, we can use this as a shape to cut in. So you can do all the regular 3D kind of business before you even begin to cut, if it makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
So and keep in mind that the gray shape, the purple, I guess it was like violet shape that you see.
Mhm.
So once you fuse it though, while you can move the booleans around it, so like for instance, we have this cut, we can move them around, but the actual shape itself, it's super hard to modify because it's super heavy. It's not, again, it's not like it's not like regular 3D in that sense where you can modify it because it's too heavy. Oh. Let's see.
Jonas, Darek, are you working on any overpaints right now, or we don't have these coming? Because I'm not doing any today.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Maybe next week.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, the recent weeks were just crazy in terms of amount of work.
Yeah, man.
I'm so wasted.
We are making excuses, right? We
Man, I
have...
was doing shit. It was crazy.
You were what?
Nothing.
Let me see it again. So again, I mean, I'm sure you guys have had painters that can probably make a super finished piece in just 2 hours, but with 3D is not quite the case. But
yeah, we have noticed that, and actually that's kind of nice in a way that we would like to have more of these 3D based sessions on Level Up. Just because we want people to know all the tools that are used in the industry, and actually it's really hard to be just to be concept art. Actually, I think nowadays it's impossible not to be a concept artist and not knowing 3D. It's just sometimes you just have to base your work on 3D assets and stuff like that. And
yeah, it's very handy, especially in movies. Like there's a lot of 3D going on in movies, like a lot.
exactly.
In games, I think games are still like there's not as much. I think in games, if it makes sense. Like in games, I think that there's still a lot of 2D, in my experience, in a lot of studios. And it's not necessarily bad, but just in movies there's more. So if you know 3D, it's definitely very helpful. I'm trying to go here and add again all the visibility to all my layers because it was getting very buggy. So actually, I'm pretty happy that so far I didn't really have to bump the subdivision too much. I didn't, because I guess I didn't do anything too crazy yet, but pretty convenient. Again, I want to fuse this at the end. I think these I'll leave them there for now. This one right here, I have mixed feelings about this dude.
Some guys are not happy that we are not doing an overpaint.
Feel free to do an overpaint so that I can have.
Give us a leaf.
And you're the grumpy cat.
Yeah. With more than 40 overpaints.
So you guys have seen this, right? Like someone from the chat gives you like their painting, and one of you guys basically makes it better.
Yeah,
It's not someone from the chat. It's from the website that we pick it.
Oh, from the website?
Yeah, or they email them to us.
Yeah, from Level Up group and email.
Yeah, we have a Facebook group as well.
Yeah. Let's see.
But we do think about overpaint session only. So it's like the old spirit will be there. So
yeah, it will be our revenge, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Jonas.
You know what? I'm gonna do an overpaint. There we go.
Okay.
Who is this guy? Who's the lucky guy?
Okay.
Indeed.
Oh, this is a bastard. Jonas, do you want to do it live or?
Yeah, let's team paint live.
Votes.
Dark, are you eating?
Yeah, sorry.
There's something in your mouth, Darek.
What I managed to do today is like pretty delicious sandwiches. So
Okay.
I'm consuming.
You know what? Okay, I'll paint live, but I don't want to talk. Because I want to drink my Pims. And paint
So
live.
I think it will actually be much better to see Gavriil's demo then, and just switch to your screen when you will be ready.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, it's not interesting enough. Okay, alright.
No,
Okay.
it's not that it's not interesting. It's that
Okay, so
I don't
I
get
can do
session
a
silent.
I can do a switching from time to time if you want.
Okay, that's cool. Dark
Okay.
will be our DJ today, right?
Yeah,
The sandwich DJ.
mixing screens.
We should actually do that. Just some music when it's quiet, you know? A little bit of jazz.
So sorry, like sometimes I'm not talking all the time. It's just that I usually obviously don't talk when I do this.
Of course. I mean, it's obvious.
So, but I think it's. I mean, what I explained. I hope it's pretty clear to a lot of people, even the ones that are like. I think it right. Like this kind of like cutting thing is pretty intuitive, right?
Yeah. Once you got it like explained, it's pretty
Yeah.
intuitive.
Whatever you feel comfortable. You are not obligated to just talking all the time. But if you want, just do it. So.
So sometimes I'm saving here and there to make sure it doesn't die.
Yes, let's talk about the speed ping pong.
Didn't you listen to me before? I said I'll paint live, but I don't want to talk. Because I want to drink my Pims.
Oh shit.
Okay, go ahead.
This painting is really nice, actually, so there's actually not that much to do to it, so I'm just going to detail it up.
Let
Oh,
me
that's
show.
nice.
Let
That's
me show.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's really nice.
I mean, actually, the main values and everything are kind of there, so I don't really have to change it that much. But
Can
I
you
can
zoom
polish
it a bit?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I just need some depth there, you know, like it was just asking for that extra layer of depth in the back, so the first thing to add.
Actually, there's a cool subject brought by Jeremy Kurtz in the chat. It's about that we could do some topic-related sessions. So it would actually be about a certain topic that we could discuss, like we did with color theory. Because I see like our most popular videos are subject-related right now, so
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting that people actually want to see a specific. Maybe it's just easier to watch a video that tries to explain a specific thing. So actually, we will. I don't know, Jonas. What do you think?
No, I think it's a pretty good idea, actually.
We can actually mix them up, right? We can
Yeah,
mix them up,
the only issue that I have is that if you invite a guest, it's it's about the guest, and then it's a bit hard to stick to something like that, you know. So that would have to be without a guest then.
Yeah,
and
so
we have many awesome guests lined up, so
we can actually maybe try just
mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. So
a month or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we have a cool subject to talk about, like I don't know, thumbnailing or implementing 3D or base meshing or like texturing or character design, are just maybe very basic stuff like anatomy, or I don't know. I just feel like we are not that competent.
Yeah, we can even go back to the subjects we took up and try to put some more, more knowledge that maybe we learned from this month and gained.
Yeah, exactly. It's just hard to be a teacher.
Yeah.
We are trying to learn ourselves. Like, we are trying to learn watching our guests and such. But if you feel like we can get some knowledge through, that's awesome.
Yeah, of course. And of course, if people has some ideas what they want us to do, just feel free to, write it and
Actually,
maybe
you know what,
message us.
Darek? Sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting, but I will do a poll right now in Facebook group,
Okay.
and feel free to add your own subject and vote, and we will get the subject-related session that will get the most votes first. So go to the Facebook group right now, and
All right.
you will find a poll there. I'm just posting it.
So Jonas, we know that you didn't want to talk about it overpaint, but can you explain a bit more that you've added some water, and can you show us the previous version also?
Yeah, hold on. So that's the previous version. It's just lacking a little bit of depth here.
Mhm.
This wasn't really defined, and it was a perfect excuse to introduce that. It's kind of killing the scale for me now a little bit for some reason. So that needs to be. I think there needs to be more edge detail or smaller details to suggest the scale, because the humans here are.
And even you could maybe add some soft strokes in the background where are the holes in the caves, right?
Yeah. You mean just some bloom and stuff? Yeah, I would probably
Yeah,
do that. Just to make it a little bit sexy. There we go. That's what you like, right?
Yeah, of course, man.
Magpies, we like shiny stuff.
I
Ooh.
love it. Ah.
Look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, damn. Look at that reflection. It's too much.
Yeah, too much, definitely.
No, we'll just divide the value. I love CC that you can stretch the color window. I'm really happy that I switched to CC. And there's some really new cool stuff coming as well. The path blur and stuff is amazing for concept art.
Yeah, people are also asking for some session with animation, and we can tell you that we will have some special sessions that will present like engines, graphic engines. So I will not tell any more like right now, but stay tuned for all the information, because we try to reach the people from a lot of genres and trying to make the session as much various as we can. So
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
The one before me was Andrea, right, or no?
No, it was Marek actually.
Oh, you're right. Andrea was the one before that, then, right?
yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Russia and Poland. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
So we need to have more Polish and more Russian artists as a guest. I think there's not enough.
More, even more.
I'm joking.
I want to get some more. I want to get a guest from Australia or Africa or a continent that we haven't had yet. We've had someone from South America. We had Mike.
There's a badass artist from South Africa, Fury Tedeschi. Do you guys know him?
Yeah. I don't know if I know him, but sounds like I should.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a ZBrush 3D concept artist.
Well, we should invite him then. We should do like level up around the world. and then
That's right.
play like music from that country. So I don't know what it would be today. You're like a tricky one, I guess. Tricky case.
All right, I'm about to, I guess, another 15 minutes and I'll wrap it up. Is right now Jonas live or is it me?
Yeah, it's you. It's yours, pretty much.
By the way, so look, this is what I was mentioning before about the trees. Look how just super messy it became.
Yeah, a lot of them.
But so it's completely impossible to understand what's connecting to what, which is actually I completely do not care either because, well, number one, as I said, if it gets in the way, you can click here to remove them. But the way you can actually perform fusions is that you actually don't need to use these dots all the time. You can just drag and drop like I've been doing. If whoever is paying attention. So for instance, if I have, let's say, let's see, I want to try and mesh that. Let's see, maybe this one will break it. Maybe not. Let's make a test. So maybe you won't break it. So so when you do a new fusion, whatever you're doing, you can just, you don't need to go to the tree. As you notice, I've never used the tree actually since the first moment that I showed it at first. You can just you can just drag and drop it onto the shape. It'll ask you to, what do you want to do? So if you place it, you can click on it, you select it, and then you drag it, and you will see this like little thing. If you stay still, it'll say perform drop. If not, it will just do it. And then it'll ask you union, subtraction, intersection right here, as you can see. So do it, don't break it, do it. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Darn it, did it. Nice. So I guess a few more things, and I'm gonna talk about the exporting and all that. So let's see. What else can we do to this guy? So, some of the stuff again about hard surface is that the hard surface feel about certain shapes is given by, of course, the way the cuts they're performed, just like the intricacy of the way the shapes collide together and the edges and so forth, but also like about repetition. Something, if you look at most of the mechanical shapes, there's always something that is repeating, whether it's like cylinders, whether it's like like maybe some screws that go across something. There's some sort of, like, if you do not add like an element of, I guess, repetition, it may not feel as believable.
So now, Jonas, you are switched to black and white, right? Values mode.
Yeah, but I'm still painting in color though. I'm just
yeah, you have the
just looking at values. Yeah.
Yeah, the layer.
So if Jonas is painting, I'm gonna I'm gonna go grab some water. I'll be right back.
Of course.
Okay. So you paint on very zoom out thumbnail right now to just.
Yeah, I'm just blocking it in roughly right now, just to get everything, like the main different values in the right place.
Okay.
And like sell the scale a little bit more. So. I don't want to work on too many layers, actually. Just the original, which is pretty good, actually. You know, I mean, values are there, but yeah, just making it a bit more sexy.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Sunbeams.
Yeah, that's the sexy stuff.
So I have created a poll, and if you go to the Level Up group, Facebook group, you'll find a poll there. There's already like over 50 votes in there, so a lot of people are adding new topics and voting. So vote on those that you want to see happen, and we will try to cover them. We'll try to merge our knowledge minds and
Yeah.
get something out of these empty buckets, right?
Okay, the screen is back on Gavriil again.
I don't know when it's on me or not, because just like I see just I don't know, I see like a ton of screens around me, just with all.
Yeah, you see it probably in Google Hangout in Windows. So.
So as you can see, the more shapes we have, the more it starts to lag when we start to cut. So this simple cut is taking a bit too long, a bit longer than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't crash, don't crash. All right.
Jonas is still fighting.
Fighting. What does that mean?
Fighting with the painting.
Rah! Take
Yeah.
that painting. Take that seed, Mr. Seed.
So guys, we are wrapping up pretty soon. So if you have any more questions to Gavriil,
All right, let me
just feel free to ask on the chat, and we will pick it up.
let me wrap it up and export it. So this union will take longer because the shape is very complex.
Mm-hmm. So what if it's just a froze and it's like an opportunity you will lost everything, or
Sorry, what's that? If it freezes and what?
if it's freeze, if it will be a freeze with Modo and it's like recovering or something like this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, first of all, I'm saving actually all the time. Modo has also an automatic save that
Okay.
is pretty handy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put like 2 more shapes, and I'm gonna talk real quick about the export and bring it into Keyshot. I guess there's not too much time left for the post-process in Photoshop.
Well, if you need time, take it, man. I mean, doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
One thing though that I want to say is that as far as the intro to Modo plus Mesh Fusion, I'll post 1 or 2 tutorials on Vimeo later on. I'm about to take like my first break in like 2 years of freelance work. I've just worked back to back to back with even multiple projects at the same time, and next week I'm gonna go on vacation, so I plan to do some more personal work and put up some videos about this stuff. My goal is that, like, you know, I see just the sharing of this stuff. I see it as like, if everyone knows how to do this, it's good, because then more people can experiment, more people can come up with cool things or cool ideas, cool tools for it, and it pushes the bar so that you see cool things that maybe you've not seen, you know, otherwise. And this is why I would like to, I guess, more people to try the mesh fusion, because I have a feeling that, you know, some people may, you know, again, come up with some cool stuff. It's kind of like a collective growth of, you know, as far as the artists go.
Yeah, cool, man. Definitely. I mean, that's our philosophy right here, actually.
That's right.
Doing, yeah.
So this is, okay, we're saving. Keep clicking on the edges and it keeps bringing up the street control, which lags a lot. So, oops, I did subtraction by accident. That's not what I wanted to do. A bit weird to cut with this shape like that. Yeah, Modo's like, what the hell, man? I think it's gonna do it. It did, but in fact, it's, as you can see, it's very, like, why would you use this shape to cut that?
And then, why are you angling it? Are you gonna connect it with a tube or something? Or?
No, I wasn't actually planning to. Come on, to connect it with any tube. I'm actually not very fond of the piping, I guess, tools in Modo. Okay, I think that's gonna do it now. Alright, so I think that, I mean, of course I could go on, because this is not what I would consider fully finished, but let's save and let's talk about the export into Keyshot, so that we can wrap it up. We don't stay here. So, what we have right now, as you can see, we have 4 fusion items, so we only did this with 4 different fusions. So I used one for this guy right here, one for the main shape, one for this side cylinder, and I think one was here for the bottom part. Now, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna click. First of all, actually, let me save it. Okay, there we go. And then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna click on all the fusion items one by one. We're gonna convert them to. We can either duplicate the fusion item, right, so that it gets saved and converted, but I don't care right now. We're just gonna do, as you can see here, convert to mesh item. We're gonna click OK, OK. The Modo is gonna convert. We're gonna convert them. So we're gonna do the first one. So it takes a while because it's kind of like, again, processing, right, all the things. We're gonna copy it one by one. So we're gonna copy this to a new scene. So you can see this was one. I'll go back here. We're gonna convert this. Where's my cat that is trying to climb on me? And then I'm gonna copy this one, get into a different mesh item. I'm gonna do the last two. Convert to mesh item. Convert. So the cool thing about another one of the cool things about again Mesh Fusion is that Mesh Fusion understands the every time you've made a cut and there were like seams, so like just the basically the edges in between. Modo remembers that. So what happens is that even if right now, as you can see, we have only like right now we have 2 layers. We're about to add the third one. So this is going to be the third one. So these are actually, it's going to be super easy to cut even further. I'm going to show this in a second because we're basically done. Last one. Convert to mesh item. Okay. Okay. There it is. All right. So now we have a mesh. I mean a document with 4 layers. But the cool look, check this out. So Modo remembers all the cuts. So for instance, if we go to this mesh, even if it's this one layer, this is separated. So look how useful it is. Bam, this is one. This is one. Oh, we didn't duplicate it. I wasn't really paying attention as far as the symmetry in this one. So we can actually cut it. Remesh, paste it. We can do the same here. So there's a little bit of mesh broken there. I should have bumped up the level, but I don't want to do undo and bump it up and then redo it because we're running a bit late. But I'm just isolating all the screws, as you can see, so that we can assign the material for them. So this is super useful. The Modo, even if it's the same mesh, Modo understands where we did the cuts, and it keeps it in a separate layer, because now we can basically cut them and paste them like we're doing now. And this applies to everything, right? So even this, you see these other shapes that we've added. Again, this kind of depends on if you wanted to have these in different materials. You could have this in different material, this in a different material. Even look, even this cut that we've done here could be a different one, and the seam of it could be a different material. See? So this is extremely useful. Let's maybe cut this one. Usually what I do is that I tend to actually cut everything into separate layer because, friends, look, we could leave this right now because I think I'm going to give this a one material alone. But the best solution is that you actually cut it because why not? And then you can still give them the same material later on anyway. So if you want to edit, you have... All right, so let's export this. So let's do export as. So let's go into the... let's see here actually. Level up. Oops, I'm always switching to Russian keyboard. Level up. Okay. So now we go into the almighty Keyshot. So now I have actually Keyshot 5 too, but actually I don't like it, so I'm going to open Keyshot 4.
I didn't even know it was out.
So level up. Okay, so this is important. When you import something in Keyshot, it will just usually appear like this, I think, the first time. You click on Show Settings. You make sure that we can keep individual parts by objects. See, and this is what actually Wojtek was mentioning before, is that if we assign the materials in Modo, we can tell Keyshot to remember those materials by having this like that. We didn't assign any, so we wouldn't get any division, so we're going to keep by objects. We're going to do import. There it is. So now it's in Keyshot. No, actually, because I have multiple screens, I never have these like panels in the same, but I guess I'm gonna do it so that people can see. So, because I kind of hate not seeing the full screen of the thing. So what we have to do first of all is actually select all the different layers under the project tab. And we need to right-click, do material, and unlink the material because they will still be linked even if we told Keyshot to separate them. And now you can start applying materials. I mean, let me lower this a little bit. Let's see. So I guess what Jonas was asking before about, the scratches, that you can do them. You can do some basic ones in Keyshot. It's not. It can be pretty good actually. It doesn't. It's not. Let me see. It's not gonna be super fun. So sometimes actually I like to apply some materials, even if it's not the ones that I actually want, just so that it gets some color, because I hate to see the shape with the ugly, with the ugly like blue that we import from that. So let me see.
So you're just assigning different materials, right?
Right. I'm assigning different materials right now, and again, it's like you can play with materials for a long time. But right now, I put basically the screws in a just brighter material, and I'm gonna change the environment too. Let me try. It's like you have to give the best out of something. I think this is pretty good. So what Jonas was asking about Jonas, is it Jonas or Jonas?
Whatever, man.
All right.
Joe Nasty.
So there's some materials that you can apply. You can do edit. Look, and you can have textures. You can apply a bump and opacity and the diffuse, which means that you can apply, for instance, some could be scratched. Like this one that I applied. Let me bring this up here. Oh, there you go. So this one has like a color. So as you can see, it's just a picture of a texture, and it's not even very high res, but it works from far away. And it's using an automatic box mapping. So what it's doing is, as you can see, the type of UV, because Keyshot does automatic UVs on the flies, which is awesome. So you can basically apply this, and it will basically it'll do the scratches pretty decently. So the material is, again, I'm applying right now some quick stuff, but there's a lot that could be done to make sure that it's pretty nice. But just for the sake of just trying to finish this and wrap it up. So this is what Jonas was asking for. So as you can see, like by applying this with the automatic box mapping, look, you can get some decent scratches. You see.
Awesome.
You need to, again, just bring a texture and apply it, put it into box mapping, automatic box mapping, and Keyshot will recognize it and it will apply it. So then let's do few more things. I'm going to change the lens to 50, and I'm going to put a depth of field to the image, because I think every image looks more realistic with the depth of field. It just gives that nice quality, nice camera kind of touch. Actually, let me go back to 40 minutes. Okay, and Keyshot is an interactive render, which means you can actually leave it and it will keep rendering on your screen until it's ready. So as you can see, it did a pretty decent job in the edges. I mean, it's not like, you know, the best, but it's not bad either.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we can do at this point is that from here, you can click, you can actually, again, there's so much to talk about Keyshot too, so I'm going to wrap it up. But there's this render settings that go a bit more in depth, but if you just want to grab what you see on the screen, just click screenshot and it just saves it to the renderings folder of Keyshot. And I'm going to now open it in Photoshop. Let me close this. Let me bring this up real quick. There it is. I hope you see Photoshop now. So what I basically would do just at this point is try to do all the shenanigans with the decals, and just to show, I have some files. Let me open them. I have some files that I keep like that. You see, so just on the fly, I keep it, and I basically grab whatever I want and put it there. So it's just like they're all already into like a Photoshop file, if it makes sense. And I use the auto select if I don't know which is what. So like I can select one step. That's the one. So at this point, again, I mean, this is something that's not very exciting to cover, but it's just it would be just me, putting all these stickers into perspective, painting more, scratches, adding more cut lines, putting more screws, just bringing it, even bringing it a bit more, even a bit more finished. Actually, I don't have the Wacom plugged right now, but the always present yellow sticker, right? There has to be.
Yeah, it just makes it look nice and techy.
That's right. The yellow sticker has to be somewhere. Like if your concept art doesn't have a yellow sticker, like it's just probably not concept art, I think.
Man, that hurt my feelings, man.
Even I know it's not true. Actually, Jonas, in all his environment, he actually hides a yellow sticker. It's just
It's overgrown, right?
Well, but it's there. It's there.
It's actually, yeah, it's true. It's there. He always has it. But there's never been
like color theory to hide the fact that it's yellow. Like it looks like blue, but actually when you color pick it, it's yellow. Mind blowing.
That is exactly the case.
This is the shit that we're not gonna teach you, like things.
Bam! I've seen Jonas paint, and he told me that he always puts it to. He told me I just don't like to show it because he's a bit superstitious. He always puts the yellow sticker in all his paintings. But anyway, I mean, of course, I could keep spending another 30-40 minutes on this. Just what I would do is that I would probably, just again to give a super quick idea to finish it off, I would probably paint more around the edges, more wear, would put more stickers. Again, obviously I would actually finish this a bit more in 3D. It's just that the, I guess, 1 hour limit is very limiting. But I hope this gives a nice sense of what you can achieve. And I mean, this is considering it's only 1 hour. Something like there's no way that you could do this in 1 hour in subdiv modeling with such ease and breeze as we've done. So it's actually pretty cool. So I mean, I hope that I'm probably gonna finish it, just probably a bit more in 3D and perhaps post it.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
And actually, I could. I mean, if you guys want, I can share the Modo file so people can study it.
that would be awesome. Yeah, and something new at the same time.
Yeah, so I'll finish this up a bit, and then I'll give it to one of you guys, and if you guys want, you can post it, and I'll post I'll give you the render and the the Modo file.
Yeah, you can post the, when you will finish it, you can post it to the group and an events page, and yeah, that would be awesome when you will finish it. And you can send us a not PSD file, maybe a PSD file as well, and the model file.
For sure.
And yeah, so people will be able to deconstruct it and maybe learn from it practically.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Gavriil, for joining us today. That was an awesome insight into the mesh fusion and Modo and a really new type of 3D workflow. So it's really amazing to see that.
Yeah,
I feel
cool.
I'm definitely going to try it out.
Yeah, I hope that. I mean, my goal was that to get more people interested, and hopefully more and more people will show it. I mean, we'll use it and we'll show the results.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, try it out and post your results to Level Up. We'll look through them. And now we'll pass them on to Gavriil if I notice something that is related to the session. Okay, so
if they have any question about, by the way, mesh fusion, they can just message me, and I mean, unless they ask 75 questions, but if they have some,
You will regret this, man. You will regret.
Yeah.
if they have some questions, I can answer something that maybe it didn't get picked in the chat, or something that they can thought of it later.
Yeah, do it through his secretary. It would be better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have one more question, actually. A very important question.
Oh yeah, I know it's one.
What is that?
Well,
That's
the
so
question is, would you rather be or Gojira?
You're talking about between these two sounds?
And Gojira.
No, definitely the second one. Definitely the gong.
Okay, so the question is, would you rather be a billionaire or a Godzilla?
I think that the Godzilla one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, would you even compare being Godzilla versus being a billionaire?
I don't know, man. We ask it every week, and we have some pretty different answers to that question. Some deep philosophy there.
yeah, but with you was pretty simple, right? Mecha Godzilla or something like that. Hard surface Godzilla.
Gojira.
Yeah, man, that's a good idea, actually. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's mesh fusion it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, if you enjoy Level Up sessions, please subscribe to this channel. Check out our webpage, which is fusroda.com. There's plenty of resources out there. You can watch all the sessions in there, as well as on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we also
yeah?
we forgot about the Jonas overpaint.
Oh, all right. We forgot about
So
That's good.
switching the screen on Jonas.
No, it's okay.
Oh man, it's nice.
Nobody cares.
Nice. We push it farther, much more.
Yeah, I mean, actually, like I said, the original was good, and most of the stuff was there, so I'm just polishing it. I'm not really teaching anything. But maybe, maybe Axel can just enjoy some color stuff, or like how,
Yeah, you have
Check
added
out
some reflected light in there, and that's the juice, I think. Awesome.
Yeah, and just play around with lighting, different color temperatures and stuff. Like this is very flat, and then with just some grays, you can suggest waterfalls and rocks and stuff like that. Or like this tree as well. This is not really defined shape to it, so just turn it into something. A tree coming down, and then there's an orb, and there's like a little staircase leading. Because now that here there's not really a focal point. It's just light, but there's nothing really there. So now by adding like this orb, which is the brightest point, and then these staircases, and leading to these characters over here, I would probably actually put it like that. Because
So you also emphasize the story of it, so it's also cool.
Well, yeah, because there was no story. I mean, the guys are looking, but it's undefined what they're looking at. It's nice. There's, the value-wise, it's nice. Like the blues and the yellows are really beautiful, but there's no storytelling, and now it looks more. I don't know. thinking of like a mana seed from Secret of Mana, something like that, like some sort of magical seed or some shit, and some sunbeams. Maybe there's a little horse here.
Not to complete it.
Yeah, just like chilling out. There we go.
There you go. They're looking at the horse.
Dude, don't get so close, man.
These are like cheesy and awesome at the same time.
Yeah, that's why we are doing it, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, awesome.
Okay,
it would
guys.
be cool. Jonas, it would be cool to see it in a full res because of the compression. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, if you can just
details.
post it on event page or so.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, Cal.
Man, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Okay.
Good to have at least one overpaint during the session. You're a
Yeah.
hardworking guy, right? We are lazy
Yeah.
bastards, Darek. We should
And
go
you guys
to
don't even
hell.
have
Oh man, just calm down. We will do a lot of more.
Okay. So again, thank you guys for coming. Wait for another announcement today,
Yeah.
tomorrow, the day after
Yeah,
tomorrow,
yeah, I
pretty
think we have-
soon. Yeah. So cheers, guys. Thanks again to Gavriil. Make sure to follow him on Facebook. Remember his page, and yeah.
Thanks, Darek.
That's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye. Thanks, Gavriil. Hey guys.